Just after St. Louis, Missouri, police did something that made us think cops couldn't possibly get any dumber. Never fear, there's a Florida cop that said, "Hold my beer." No fucking joke. 2 Florida cops got in a shootout with an acorn. So here's what happened. This chick and her boyfriend are fighting. So she calls the cops and says her boyfriend stole her car. The cops show up, they say they're detaining him, they pat him down, you know, as cops do, to make sure that they don't have any weapons on them, nothing pointy. And then they handcuff him and they put him in the back of the squad car so they can search the car that he had supposedly stolen from his girlfriend, even though he's there at the house with his girlfriend. So now Officer Jesse Hernandez has done search of the car, he's walking back to his squad car, and an acorn falls from a tree and assaults the roof of Jesse's cop car. And Officer Jesse Hernandez, a man who has been issued a gun by the government, thought the plink of an acorn off of his roof was fucking gunfire. Now, I personally don't get free range time where I get to waste a bunch of ammunition on the taxpayer's dime like Mr. Hernandez does, so I don't shoot nearly as much as I'd like to. I also have a lot of oak trees, and they had a bumper crop of acorns this year. While they were constantly falling on my vehicles and the roof of my tin shed, I was at no point ever under the impression that I was about to have a Tony Montana moment. But Wyatt Earp here did what any rational human being would do when an acorn fell off a tree next to him. He jumped to the ground and rolled around like a trailer park gravy seal, showing off his ninja skills, and then while laying on the ground, he starts shooting his own squad car. After pumping half a dozen rounds into his license plate, he changes positions and lays down on his side because it looks cool when he does it in Call of Duty, and then finishes unloading his gun into the back of the squad car. And he starts incompetently fumbling around trying to reload his gun and telling his partner that he's been shot. He hadn't, because as it turns out, acorns don't have fingers. So his partner, Beth Roberts, who is facing him, like she's in front of the squad car and he's laying on the ground kind of off to the side behind the squad car, and she decides she wants to get in on the fun too, so she starts shooting at the squad car, and by extension her partner, because cops are fucking morons. Honestly, some of the cardinal rules of gun safety is know what your fucking target is, which they obviously didn't, and know what's beyond your target, which she did and still shot anyway. Now fortunately, because cops are horrible shots, the man in the squad car was somehow uninjured, and unfortunately neither of the cops got themselves in the running for this year's Darwin Awards. But honestly, how the fuck does this happen? And how can we see this shit and still think that cops should be armed with anything other than Will Ferrell's dummy gun from the other guys? Everything about this is wrong. First of all, mistaking an acorn for gunfire is just fucking lunacy. You shouldn't even be allowed to drive if you can't differentiate those two things. And then even if it was gunfire, just rolling around on the ground and randomly shooting at shit is not a reasonable reaction. You go find cover, assess the situation, verify the threat, and then respond. And then he didn't get touched by anything, and he somehow thought he got shot. And then his partner, also having no fucking idea what she's shooting at, decides that she should start shooting at something too, but then her partner is almost directly downrange from her. The only time his life was in danger through this whole ordeal was because his partner was fucking shooting at him. And then he resigned, but does not seem to be facing any criminal charges whatsoever. His partner, Beth Roberts, was cleared of any wrongdoing, saying that her response and her actions were reasonable. No, they fucking weren't. Nothing any of those people did was even remotely reasonable. They're reckless and dangerous. They shouldn't be legally allowed to own a fucking slingshot, let alone be issued a gun by the goddamn government. Here's the thing, if any one of us was walking by a car and an acorn fell on it, and we just unloaded our gun into that car, we would be charged with a fucking felony and go to prison. But cops do this, have it all captured on multiple fucking body cams, and there is zero repercussions. Yet people are still out here like, oh, why is there so much animosity towards law enforcement? They got a hard job. They keep us safe. The fuck they do. Almost every situation, you're put in more danger once police are involved. And this is a perfect case study of just that. How many times does this shit need to happen before we finally get some reform and some accountability in law enforcement?